Hello, everybody. I present exclusive interview, and today we speak for beautiful country, people in beautiful country, Australia, Jenna O'Halloran. Yeah, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You're a specialist in nutrition, and you population for potato, and you work with the Australian Potato Union.
Sure. So I'm an accredited practicing dietitian and nutritionist. I've been doing this work for about 20 years now. I'm a consultant. I work with businesses that are focused on health and well-being. And I love to support fresh produce bodies that are, that have the produce that nourish the nation. And potatoes are certainly one of those foods that really does nourish people, not just in Australia, but around the globe. So I love to promote the benefits of fresh produce, and there are so many benefits of eating potatoes. And I think there's a lot of myths out there as well about potatoes. So I'm looking forward to busting some of those today.
Yeah, Jen, I think so with video looking people around the world. And I have first question. Why a potatoes important for people around the world?
Well, they nourish us. They're important from a food security perspective. They're very affordable for people, particularly at the moment where there's a lot of cost of living pressures around the world. And they nourish us. They keep us fuller for longer. And they're a good carbohydrate. So a quality carbohydrate that really does fuel our bodies, our brains, and our muscles for us to function at our best. So they're really critical as part of the food supply more broadly, and particularly, can be of great assistance to those areas that are in a more food insecure position.
Look, Jen, maybe you help me today and understand uh, about potatoes so much more myths and legends about potatoes. It's not good product, but what good nutrients are in potatoes?
A lot. So I just touched on one, which is our quality carbohydrates, and they're an energy source essentially. And our number one energy source for our brain is carbohydrates. So, and they deliver that. I think there's a bit of fear out there, and a lot of myths around, people going on these low carbohydrate diets unnecessarily. We need carbohydrates for energy and fuel. And certainly that's where I think the potato really shines. Now, other nutrients, B vitamins. So potatoes contain a lot of B vitamins, which boost our mood, make us feel good and happy. They're also rich in vitamin C, and that plays a really important role in supporting our immunity, and supporting healthy brain function and mood as well. Also healthy glowing skin, and they are also packed with potassium. So potassium is a mineral. Potatoes are very rich in potassium. Potassium is an electrolyte. It helps with muscle function. It helps with aiding recovery. If we've done a workout to help us recover better and quicker. Potatoes are really packed with that mineral as well. And there's other micronutrients in potatoes, but those are really the key ones to highlight.
Yeah. What is resistant starch and why is it good for our gut?
Mm. I love this topic, and I think this is where the potatoes, they have this superpower. I like to call it a superpower because a lot of foods don't have this resistant starch present. And when you cook and cool potatoes, they develop resistant starch. Now, what is resistant starch? It's a type of dietary fiber. It acts like a prebiotic. It feeds the good bacteria in our gut. And then when it's fermented, it actually produces a short chain fatty acid called butyrate. And what does that do? Well, it strengthens the cell wall lining. It reduces inflammation, and it can even help prevent cancers like colon cancer. This resistant starch is really important. And in fact, it's estimated that Australians, the typical Australian diet, we're probably only getting about a quarter of the resistant starch we really need every day. So, by cooking and cooling potatoes and then enjoying them however you please, you'll be able to get that resistant starch. It also, there's more. So, it also helps to lower the glycemic index of a meal, which is really cool. So it keeps us fuller for longer, and it means we can better manage our blood sugar levels. So this is particularly relevant for people living with diabetes, and other people as well who are looking to live a healthy lifestyle.
Look, maybe with video working people who like athletics, sports, and how can potatoes help athletes get energy?
Mm. Well, they're fantastic. They really do power our athletes. And I think if you spoke to any athlete out there, potatoes would be on the menu for them. Particularly maybe the day before, the night before an event, fueling the body. So when we eat these quality carbohydrates like potatoes, it stores the carbohydrates are stored in our muscles as glycogen. And that's really the fuel that our body relies on to power through that performance, whether it's, a short job, running a marathon, doing a weight session, whatever you're doing, you need that energy. And that's what potatoes offer. They offer those really quality carbohydrates to fuel us. And this is where I think when people go on these low carbohydrate diets, they deprive themselves of energy, and they probably get quite hungry. They probably get quite hangry. I don't know if that's a term you use, but the basically getting angry and hungry at the same time. And it's not a good combination, and it can also result in a depleted mood. We feel sluggish and sad. And so I think we need carbohydrates in our life. We don't have to be afraid of them. And if you're an active person, you've got to have potatoes on the menu, because your performance may be limited if you're not getting those quality carbohydrates in.
Visit many country and see many cookies kitchen around the world. In South America, people like potato al dente. If I don't, I think you know what is it al dente, yeah. In my country, like mashed potato, some French fries, chips, and what are the healthiest ways to cook potatoes?
So there's a few things. So steaming and microwaving are good options to reduce any nutrient losses. So one particular vitamin I mentioned earlier, vitamin C, it's quite heat sensitive. So it can be lost, for example, if you boil potatoes for a really long time, some of the vitamin C in those potatoes can seep out into the water. Whereas if you're steaming them or microwaving with a little bit of water, perhaps you're not going to get as much of the losses. So basically it's time, temperature, and water when it comes to reducing the impact of nutrient loss. So don't overcook them. And I guess, yeah, steaming and microwaving is a really good, I guess, short way to retain the most nutrients. I also recommend, though, I don't think we need to just enjoy potatoes microwaved or steamed, because let's be honest, as you said, there are so many incredible ways to enjoy potatoes, and we shouldn't be just limited to steamed or microwaved. If you like to, for example, bake or roast your potatoes, I recommend using a nice healthy oil like extra virgin olive oil. And you can do that at home and make some really delicious, crunchy potatoes. And that oil, if it's a healthy oil, then it's going to be good for your heart with those good, healthy fats. So really that's the secret. And then the final one to recommend is what we just talked about earlier, is cooking and cooling your potatoes to develop that resistant starch. So make a big batch. I recommend to people make a big batch when you're cooking them, save time, make a big batch. Then with those leftovers, you're actually going to benefit from all that beautiful resistant starch that's developed in the potatoes.
Yeah, I think next question, it's a general question in this interview. How much potato is a good portion in a meal?
Well, so in terms of a healthy plate, I recommend a quarter of your plate should be your quality carbohydrate. So that could be potatoes. Obviously mix it up with other sources of carbohydrates as well. But potatoes are fantastic. So a quarter of your plate potatoes, a quarter of your plate lean protein, such as meat or chicken or fish, or your vegetarian style proteins like beans, tofu, tempeh, that sort of thing. And then finally, half to your plate should be colorful vegetables. So think about the rainbow when it comes to your vegetables. But to answer your question about the potato specifically, it's a quarter of your plate.
Look, we speak about legend and myth about potato. What big myths about potato are not true?
It's not true that potatoes make you gain weight. That's a big myth, and I think people avoid potatoes for that reason. We've got to include potatoes. They are such an affordable staple. Right now, people are really struggling to put food on the table for their families in Australia, and I'm sure in many places around the world. So, look, I think potatoes are a wonderful food that fuels us and feeds the family for longer. And it's all about the portion size and how you cook the potatoes, as we've talked about, how you enjoy them as part of a healthy, balanced meal. But I think, yeah, that myth around, weight gain or increasing the risk of diabetes, things like that. If you're eating potatoes, in their most beautiful natural form and using healthy cooking methods and healthy portions, you can enjoy potatoes forever.
I have a question about how can families add potatoes to a balanced diet every day? It's a very important question.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to our vegetable intake, it's quite shocking in terms of the lack of vegetables we're eating across the globe. In Australia, we're only getting 1.8 of the 5 serves we need every day for vegetables. So we're really lacking overall vegetables. So that creates a huge opportunity for us to eat more vegetables and make sure we're getting our serves. Potatoes and other vegetables really do help to reduce our risk of some of these chronic diseases like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, many cancers, overweight and obesity as well. They are protective for our health. We need vegetables every day. So, an easy way to get more veggies in is prioritize them and make sure your house and you've got them in your crisper, in your fridge, ready to go. If you need to buy some of the ones that are a bit more pre-prepared, the chopped up potatoes that you might find at the supermarket that you can just pop in the oven and they're ready to go. You don't always have to buy the one that's sitting on the shelf that has all the dirt all over it. You can buy the ones that are a bit more easy for your lifestyle. So choose the ones that work best for you, but make sure you've got your house filled with vegetables so that you'll eat them and then prioritize them in your meal planning. So lunch should have a couple of serves of veggies. We tend to eat more salad at lunchtime, things like lettuce, tomatoes, things like that. But there's no reason why you can't actually take your leftovers from last night's dinner to work the next day and have it for lunch. And that makes it super easy. And then, of course, for dinner, again, it's making sure half your plate is those vibrant, colorful vegetables, and then you've got your quarter of your plate, which you can pop your potato in there. And, of course, choose how you want to enjoy them and enjoy them in different ways. Mashed potato, baked potatoes, homemade chips. My mum used to do the most amazing potato bake, and I it just brings back such fond memories for me thinking of potato bakes with the cheese, melted cheese over the top. Delicious food. So experiment with different ways of cooking with potatoes. But yeah, just make sure they're on the plate.
You love potatoes so very much. Look, in 30th of May, we celebrate second time Potato Day. And
Mm.
maybe you open secret uh, how you celebrate you and Australian Potato Union celebrate this day. Maybe you open secret a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's an exciting time of year. So next Friday is International Day of Potato, the 30th of May. So I've teamed up with Potatoes Australia. We're actually doing a cooking demonstration together. So I'll be in the kitchen and I will be whipping up a couple of potato dishes. So they're healthy, delicious, nutritious, and some different ways of basically taking a traditional recipe and making it, putting my little glitter dust over it, making it a little bit extra healthy without losing any flavor. So that's all happening on the 30th of May for International Day of Potato.
Thank you so much for your time. And maybe you want to set something for people who look this video.
I'd like to say eat more potatoes. I think that's my number one message for your viewers. We've got to get more potatoes on our plate. They are healthy, they are affordable, they fill us up for longer. A really interesting fun fact is that the potato is the number one satiating food, and that's according to scientific research. So, if we all get hungry, so eat potatoes to fill you up, and you will be much more satisfied.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.